Okay, it's been a while. I don't have any script, I don't have a plan. I'm just going to film this in my temporary office, which looks really messy now. We're moving currently in the process of moving to Texas. So this is a repeat. I got my laptop in front of me here, so excuse me. This is actually a repeat of my video. Oh, my daughter did my nail. This is a repeat of my video that I did on the 19th of March last year. So over a year ago now. And it was titled, "This is my current business setup, tools and products." I thought I'd do an update because back then, as of March last year, we'd been running for like 5 months, right? So I know a lot more now. I think at that point we'd maybe made March. Jesus, we didn't have a retainer then. God, we probably made nothing at that point. Nothing that gave me any credibility to talk about things really. Since then, you know, already this calendar year, we've done over £130,000 in revenue. Annual reoccurring revenue, I only know it in dollars, but it's about 340,000, and that's just from retainers alone. We have a significant amount of brand sprints going on now, which are all just under $10,000. Between now and the end of July, we have 5, so that's 50k on top of the retainers of 30k a month. So, you know, that's between now and the end of July when I go to Texas, we're going to be looking at well over another $150,000. So that gives me some form of credibility to what I'm going to tell you now. So let's start. First one, Monzo. I'm still using Monzo for all business and personal banking. In my eye, nothing beats it. How is it useful for business? Well, same as the previous video mainly, is that it lets me just take 25% of all my earnings and put it into a separate pot. Okay? So, client pays £10,000, 2,500 instantly comes out of my balance and goes into this tax pot. I don't need to worry about tax, right? Simple. It's always, I'm never going to have a point where I get a tax bill or whatever and my accountant says how much I owe and I don't have that amount. I'm always going to have it because I always put away 25%. Now, previously, I wouldn't have had to put 25% away because I won't bore you on how tax works. That's not what this conversation is about. But I'm now in the top bracket business-wise, so I have to put away 25% of everything, right? So that's what it is. Next, accountant. You fucking have to have one. Like, I have an accountant who does my personal and my business. So he just does everything that I need him to possibly do in the business at all. He does all my filing, tells me how much I owe, works out how much I can save, so I'm as optimized as physically possible at all times. And then, because I withdraw salary and dividends, I also personally need to submit a personal tax return. So he helps with that as well. So super good, really, really good. Next, again, I'm looking down at my screen, Google Workspace. Google Workspace is still a banger. It costs fucking nothing, right? Nothing. I have myself and Luke with an email on it, and you can't go wrong. You know, book a call, cool. I'll just send you an invite. Emails, flawless. Drive, flawless. Google Meet, flawless. Can't beat it. I did, up until this point, also use a Google form for the onboarding of every single client, apart from literally one last week. So on that, we did have all of our, my chair's gonna squeak. We did have all of our onboarding questionnaires done via a Google form. And that's like 25 plus clients in the last year, all through a Google form. It just had the logo at the top, but it was a Google form, Google domain, everything. So it wasn't really that nice. I sent that to a client. So tomorrow we're starting a big client, like a really big client for us, probably the biggest one we've had, big household name and really important. And I sent them the Google form, and afterwards I really thought that's not the impression I want them to have of us. So what I've actually done now, which is only fractionally better, is I now pay for Tally Pro, which is about $10 a month, right? It's nothing for a business. And that's all hosted. I have a fully white labeled form that's hosted at onboarding.happypizza.studio, and it's password protected. So super easy. Just elevates that onboarding experience fractionally for them. Okay, next, cal.com. I think in the previous one I probably mentioned cal.com, but now I pay for it. Didn't used to pay for it, now I pay for it. Why do I pay for it? I pay for it because, again, the experience is far superior, right? The experience is far superior. And it also gives me access to the API. So for the longest time, I just had a Cal link, right? cal.com/happypizza or whatever. That would usually be accessed via a button on the website. But again, that would take people either to a separate page or it would take them to an ugly embedded form within a page. The experience wasn't there. Now I'm all about trying to elevate that experience that people have of us when they first see us. So we have a new website, and on that new website now I've created a completely custom booking page, all custom, all branded. They don't have to go away from the website to experience it. And this custom onboarding form is a wrapper around the cal.com API, right? So it still books a call, which is a better experience. On that as well, again, previously, a year ago, and up to about 2 months ago, maybe a month and a half ago, we were using Framer. And Framer's not bad, but it's not great either. It was quite slow, restricted unless you want to go really hard on it. So we swapped to a completely custom website. So now we're on Next.js. The speed is exceptional. The customization is exceptional. Everything's just exceptional. It's a great website now. And that again elevates that initial experience people have of us, which matters. And for some of you, this could be your first experience of me, and I got crap all over my floor because I'm moving house, and I got a random painted nail, but I don't care because you're probably not my client. Okay, Linear. We're still using Linear. Well, actually, before I wasn't using Linear. Before we were using Orchestra. The problem with Orchestra and tools that try and put the client somewhere else is that they're not used to it. The client has probably never used Orchestra before, and they're certainly not going to start now just for you. So internally, we use Linear to manage everything. And I'll tell you why. A few reasons. One, I used it as the primary project management tool when I was an engineering manager. So I'm very used to it. I understand it. It's not a foreign environment to me, so I can utilize it very well. Secondly, it has a really good project page outlook. So I can see all of our upcoming projects on a nice calendar view. I can just see it all. It's super nice for me. And they have the ability for each project, so every client is going to have their own project, right? I can map that to a Slack channel, and then the client, and I'll double this up then, we use Slack as well. The client will have their own Slack channel with us. That's like hosted in our workspace, and they're like a guest, right? That connects to their Linear project that we also own. So they can see updates. They can't really interact with it, but every time I make a status change or create a new ticket or something, it will go to there, so they can see it, right? They can also comment on the thread of that notification and it will go to Linear. So anyway, that's why we use that. I did try to use, I think, between last time and now, Orchestra, but again, it's a foreign environment for the client. They're not going to use it. Basecamp, again, it's a foreign environment for the client, so they're not going to use it. This is why, ultimately, I've spread between 3 main tools for client work, and that's Linear, Tally, and Slack. Tally is the onboarding form and the onboarding form only. Linear manages the tasks internally and pings to the Slack channel where we do all the client communication, the status of tasks, right? If you have a familiar, and this is going to be a long video, so I apologize. If you have a familiar tool for communication with a client, like most of our clients use Slack internally, right? So they're going to use Slack with us. If they're communicating with you in Slack and you want them to go and use another tool that they've never used before, just to also talk with you about tasks, they're not going to do it. You need to make their experience as best as it can. That might make your experience suffer, but as long as their experience is okay, it really doesn't matter, okay? So we basically manage everything in Slack. Attio is another tool. Attio is where I manage our pipeline. So Attio is a CRM. There's a few things happening in Attio for us. The main thing, I have a sort of Kanban board of deals. We call them deals in there, but they're not really, think of them as potential clients, right? That's our pipeline. So I have a couple of columns in there, like a lead. They're a lead if they've booked a call. They're a lead if we've spoke to them in some way. I have them as a lead. They're then in progress if we've had the call with them, but they haven't signed the agreement yet. When they've signed the agreement, they're 1. And then when we've delivered the project and they're sort of an X client, we move them to completed. And then after that, we have like lost and stale and turned down. But those columns are good because they have actual monetary deal value. And then at the bottom, you can see all the value. So we can see how much we've delivered, how much we have in the pipeline. So we can basically predict our cash flow, which is really good. Not that we need it, because we're an intangible service business, so it doesn't really matter too much about cash flow. Also, it records all of our client calls, which is very, very good. It records the actual video of the client call and the transcript, and it live transcribes as well. This is great because I actually take that transcription and I can query it with Claude or whatever. Like, if I have an idea for a concept or something, or if I've forgotten the one thing that the client mentioned they really hate, Attio has a chatbot directly in the call window. So I can query the transcript with Attio's agent and get all this information. So it means, again, the experience is better for the client. I don't have to go to them and ask them stupid questions again, right? I should have the answers already. So that's Attio. I also have a bunch of lists of potential clients from there that I've extracted from Clay and put, well, that's fine. I don't use Clay anymore. Figma, onto design tools. Figma. What do we use Figma for? Personally, I use Figma for rapid explorations. So, because it's such a simple tool, it's not that good for creating final deliverable logos in, but it is very good for doing rapid concepts because it has the tools that you need. It just isn't pixel perfect necessarily. We also use it for every deck. So we create all our decks in there. And by decks, I mean like our service guide for discovery calls, which is now being superseded by the website anyway. Kickoff calls, concept calls, and they're decks we deliver on a call. We also have our proposals and agreements in decks made in Figma. Why do we do that? Well, they're easily editable by myself and members of the team. That's mainly the only reason. Anyone on the team can create one. Anyone on the team can edit a previous one and create a new one. So it's very simple. But that's kind of it for Figma. We use it for client-facing deliverables really, like decks and concepts and stuff. Then Affinity. So anything I say about Affinity, just pretend it's Adobe as well. So I very recently moved from Adobe to Affinity. But that's where we do the real work, okay? So it can probably get away with the first round of concepts all being done in Figma. That's probably fine. But when it comes to really delivering them, I like to make sure that it's done properly on a real tool like Affinity or Adobe Illustrator, where I will really check every single pixel of that design. I will grid it up perfectly, make sure everything is perfect. I also use Illustrator for a lot of retainer client work, like booth design, anything that's printed. We can do assets and stuff in Figma, like most of the ads that we do for them are in Figma. But if something needs to get printed, like a booth design or something that's going to go on merch like this, it's all done in Illustrator. Now Affinity, okay? So that's that. Final one is social media. So up until recently, and I say recently because so we have 2 discovery calls tomorrow. Both are coming over as referrals. They've ticked word of mouth. Maybe I should change that to referral. I might change it to referral actually today. They're coming as word of mouth. We're now seeing the transition, because we ask people when they book calls how they found us. It's important for you to know that. We're seeing the transition from X to word of mouth. Now it's mostly word of mouth. That wasn't always the case. We started only on Twitter, and still Twitter is the main vector for inbound clients, right? But then we do a good job for them inbound clients and they become referral vectors as well. So that's the important thing. But X, posting every day, always being there, trying to be some form of authority on design, trying to be a thought leader, as cringy as that sounds. It's important. It's important. You never know what post can resonate with a potential client. You never know what comment you make could resonate with a potential client. You never know what design you post could resonate and attract a client that was previously on the fence, right? So it's not about throwing loads of things at the wall to see what sticks. It's just about increasing your luck. Vector, that's not right. I use that word too many times. Surface. It's like an attack surface, but it's not. Increase your luck surface as much as you can, right? It's like fishing with an entire net or fishing with a little stick, right? The chance of catching something is way higher. So that's the important thing. So I think that's it. Things that I have tried and don't do is probably important. Instagram. I feel like Instagram is... Sorry about that, if you can hear a siren. I have a really nice microphone, but I'm just not using it. I've just put this up here. We have tried Instagram. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort. Videos like this, somebody might not watch this video. That's fine, because it's low effort, right? I am putting the camera in front of me and I'm recording it, and it's acceptable for YouTube to have this level of effort. It's not acceptable for Instagram. Instagram is not long form content, it's short form content, and they will scroll. It's also designers posting for designers, in my personal opinion. I don't think you'd attract that many clients where really, and if you stayed this long, now I'll tell you the secret. A lot of people on Twitter and social media who are designers will always try and interact with other designers when they're your competition, right? What I do is I interact, obviously, with potential clients. Our niche is tech startups, okay? Who are tech startups owned by developers, usually. Where are developers? Twitter, usually. So I get into them circles. I used to be an engineer, so I can hang in those crowds, right? That's why I get more clients than you do, because I know where to be. right? That, a really poor analogy, but that's why homeless people hang outside Tesco's, right? Because people who go in and out of Tesco's have a higher chance of having money on them and have a higher chance of buying that person some food when they're in there, right? Their chance of getting what they want is higher because of where they've positioned themselves. So that's all I'm doing. I'm positioning myself in a place that increases my luck surface. That's all, right? We're not one of them studios that has a calendar full all day, every day of discovery calls. No. We might go a week and not have a single one. I think we had one last week. We have 2 tomorrow. That's kind of how it goes, really. But each one of them, they usually convert. There's a very high chance they convert when they come to us. But how I convert them is another story. So, yeah, that is that. If you got any questions about what I do, what I use or how I use it, then feel free. If you want to see videos on anything else, then let me know. But yeah, goodbye, I have work to do.